only thing in your life that's not personalized in your digital world is your sports stream, right?
Yeah.
It's the last frontier of personalization, and essentially data will unlock that, meaning that fans can consume the broadcast in any way they want. They can have
follow individual players.
Correct. They can have the player highlighted. They can have it in fantasy mode, looking at their fantasy points coming in. They could do sports betting mode. They could do Nickelodeon Slime mode. Really, anything. It's all possible, and it's all powered by the data that we collect.
This is Evan Shapiro, your media cartographer. I'm at Cannes for Big Brains at Cannes, and I've got Josh Linforth here. Josh, you are the CRO, Chief Revenue Officer of Genius Sports.
Yes, that's right.
That
yes.
is right?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're done. Genius Sports, as I understand it, has the largest collection of data on all levels. Field data, viewership data, and other types of data around sports. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Genius Sports essentially powers 400 sports leagues around the world. We put all of the technology into our league partners to help them essentially run the business of sports. But at our core, we put in the data collection systems to collect the play-by-play and statistical data of players on and off the field, as well as working with our league partners on understanding their fan bases in terms of more sort of a traditional ad tech use of the word data in terms of audience data.
So let's break that down, because that's kind of comes in two different directions, right? Mm-hmm. So you were saying before we started recording that the data, the statistics of sport is basically intellectual property. Mm-hmm. And that for years, people, arbitrageurs, were going into the league venues, collecting the data, just like recording a film in a movie theater, and reusing it. The films were basically cut out of that monetization chain. Mm-hmm. You came along and helped them recapture all their intellectual property and turn it into empowering data for their games, but also revenue for their companies as well. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct, right? We work with our league partners in an official capacity to help them collect the statistics. It's more than just sort of revenue generation as well. You have to think about it at an integrity level of the game, right? Without official scores, what is the correct score line? Like, what is the correct statistic of an individual player, right? So we're essentially the record of what actually happened on the court or the field or the ice. So we also fulfill that purpose by having the official data collection system. So in the US, we're the official data partner for the NFL, NCAA, so we do all the collection for college. More broadly around the world, we're the official data partner for the Premier League. We even help them power officiating technology with our semi-automated offside tech, all of global basketball. The list goes on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so you're collecting all this data, both on the fans and the viewership as well, and the viewing, and on the statistics and the game progression. But you've found a way to basically measure intensity of attention, mm-hmm. and then interject brands at pivotal moments during the games using all this massive big data that you're collecting. Am I getting anywhere close to what you were describing to me before?
Yeah, so I mean, not to use the AI buzzword, but what we do is with our data collection systems is we collect through computer vision roughly 10,000 data points a second on every single player on the field in real time. And the models that enable us to do that data collection through computer vision also understand the intensity of the game. And in terms of when it's an exciting play, and actually the predictability. We tend to know if the ball's going to go in the net the second the player is left the player's hand, right? Before the fans do, before anyone else does. And that ultimately has a ton of applications in advertising because we're able to get ahead of everyone else in terms of how fans are going to react in a particular moment. So that it has applications in creating new ad formats on digital live sports, as well as linear, as well as in just the auction room for programmatic more broadly across CTV and traditional formats. We have the most unique signals in sport in terms of what's about to happen and what has happened.
And also the reaction that the fans are going to have. So it goes both ways, right? Mm-hmm. So you were talking about the ability on, I imagine on an iPad or some kind of touchscreen computer to be able to kind of track a player as they're going and watch their statistics change as the player's running down the field. It's kind of crazy level of data. This also turns around and you're powering sports betting with sports betting platforms and creating ad inventory there as well. Is that accurate? Or?
Yeah, that's right. We power 800 sportsbooks around the world, provide them hundreds of thousands of events every year. They depend on our data. The way to think of Genius is anywhere where you're consuming sports statistics or anything that's derived from sports data, it's normally Genius behind the scenes that's powering that.
We were talking before, it's probably one of the most powerful data companies in entertainment that you've never heard of, even though you're publicly traded, and you've been there 14 years, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I tend to joke we are the largest sort of ad tech and tech company that the average person has never heard of.
So I've been talking to I was talking to David Campanelli from Horizon Media yesterday, and he said probably one of the largest, if not the largest trend here between the upfront and now here at Cannes, which is kind of this weird ad period I like to track. He says sports. He says that's the first mover for every buyer, is putting their chips on sports, kind of metaphorically speaking. And I think because live sports has become so pivotal, especially to the ad game, it's become one of the primary focuses foci of the streaming platforms, of the ad buyers, of the ad sellers, of the agencies. You have more data on sports than literally anyone has data on anything.
That is correct.
So where do you see sport in entertainment going? Can the leveling up of sports rights the way that they have possibly continue? Do you think there are new corners of fandom? I mean, we've basically suddenly discovered that women play sports, and women's basketball is now suddenly hugely popular. Is there something else coming along that we should be tracking, or any other trends in sport and entertainment and advertising that you think we should be keeping our eye on?
I mean, sports is an interesting thing in the advertising space. I sort of say to people, there's been a fundamental shift in the way that brands think about sports, at least in the conversations we've been in, where they always used to think they have to have the large sponsorship deal. And of course, that makes sense for tons of brands, and it's a really important part of the ecosystem, right? But we're also finding much smaller brands suddenly say, I want to dip my toe in sports. I want to be associated with the high school basketball team or the college basketball team, right? And what Genius essentially does is we provide a platform for an advertiser of any scale to do it at a local level and in a meaningful way, right? Because we have the data for college and high school and all this stuff.
So you're getting down to small, mid-sized businesses and dealing with real hyper-local
Correct.
teams?
The local burger chain that's got 6 restaurants in the area and wants to support the high school. That's the sort
that really feels like the opportunity, at least to me, in sport right now. There's this trend in influencer marketing to go away from the massive influencers with hundreds of millions of followers and go down to the million or less, mini or mid-level or micro influencers, because just the level of passion is that much higher. Obviously, I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I will bleed green till I die. But, you could see where local sports, especially if your kids are involved, this feels like might be the next layer.
It's huge. I mean, you think about it, it's a sense of community, right? And if you can tap into that, that's incredibly powerful as a brand. But I mean, just coming back to your other question in terms of what's going on in sports, so one of the big trends that we're seeing is the rise of alt broadcasts. So historically, you just had
old shows, old games.
No, alt broadcast is essentially an alternate view of the live game that's currently happened.
Alt,
yes.
Got it. You're British. I can't.
Sorry. And now I'm really British because I've just apologized.
Very so.
So yeah, essentially the rise of alt broadcast. With the last year we saw Maddencast on NBC. We saw NBA 2K.
Right.
You see Prime Vision on Thursday Night Football. There's a hunger for data from fans, and what we're seeing now are brands are trying to be associated with it, try and tap into that. So in terms of the trend of live sports, we only see the continuation and expansion of this stuff, right? If you think about digital, right, there's a really interesting thing happening, which is, everyone knows, right, live sports, moving from linear to digital. If you think about your digital life, the only thing in your life that's not personalized in your digital world is your sports stream, right?
Yeah.
It's the last frontier of personalization. And essentially, data will unlock that, meaning that fans can consume the broadcast in any way they want. They can have
it follow individual players.
Correct. They can have the player highlighted. They can have it in fantasy mode, looking at their fantasy points coming in. They could do sports betting mode. They could do Nickelodeon Slime mode. Really, anything. It's all possible, and it's all powered by the data that we collect.
So, sports has been this massive mover for advertising, and it feels like there's all the surfaces are covered, but you're saying that there's a whole new layer of unlocking of impressions and engagement in sport coming over the next couple of years as the tech improves and actually fills out the entire space in the experience.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years' time I'm watching an NFL game in Madden, right? Like, the distribution of sports content is going much broader. Obviously, that makes it harder for some brands, right? Sports is already fragmented, might possibly get a bit more fragmented along the way. But it creates all these new opportunities for fan engagement.
Well, it feels like in a fragmented world in sports, your data is one of those things that can, bind the ties, really put things together and allow brands to follow fans across their entire engagement.
Yeah, I mean, we have our own identity solution, FanHub ID. That's essentially plugged into everywhere we distribute sports content. So you have to think as a business, we produce a lot of the fantasy platforms, the gaming elements, anywhere a score widget exists, a data feed, right? Our fan solution, our fan identity solution sits in those endpoints. So we have a real picture of all the different content that fans consume across the internet.
That's cool. Well, I'm really glad to have learned about this. Fascinating. I'm going to have to add you to my map, my Media Universe map.
Please do.
I appreciate it. Really nice to meet you.
Great to meet you.